It's about that time of year, folks. Super Bowl Sunday. For football fans, it's essentially a holiday, especially for those who aren't too big into Valentine's Day. And one thing that the two events have in common is high expectations, and boy, are there some high expectations going into this one. For some reason, by the way, neither of these teams were even in the playoffs last year, so the fact that they're here in the Super Bowl is fucking miraculous. But I'm gonna try and stretch this video out past at least 5 minutes to make it seem like I put some amount of heart into it. Even though I am not very good at extending conversations, just ask the last girl I spoke to. I'm still mad about Super Bowl 55, by the way. Chiefs vs. Buccaneers. I bet $20 on the Chiefs to win, and then they went on to play like some of the worst football that we've seen from the Chiefs since they got Mahomes. It still pisses me off. It still grinds my ass, quite honestly. I could have been $20 richer. That's a whole lunch right there. In some cases, I suppose. But please excuse me for not only bringing up a 5-year-old Super Bowl, but bringing up Patrick Mahomes in a video about a Super Bowl when he is not showing up to the Super Bowl for once. So let's say our condolences to the recent fallen teams, and let's see what we're working with for Super Bowl 60.
Safety deep. Oh, here he goes. He can try to beat him with his legs. As Ellis runs after him, and May got there. Drake May outrace it.
8 seconds left. Loading up near side. Is he out of bounds?
Oh my God.
With 3 seconds.
Oh, he's
They're going to
running
run the clock. That's going to do it. The Seahawks soar to Super Bowl 60.
The New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks meet once again in the Super Bowl. Their first Super Bowl meeting being 11 years ago in Super Bowl 49, and we all know how that ended.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
What's funny is how their first Super Bowl meeting was in Super Bowl 49, and now this Super Bowl is being held in the 49er Stadium. So I guess these two teams just like the number 49. I am already planning ahead for when they face each other in the final dance again in the year 2049. Anyway, let's talk about how they got here. The Patriots defeated the Denver Broncos in Denver impressively in a 10-7 victory. Now, as you could tell by the score, it was a pretty defensive slugfest. It was a battle royale between the Patriots, the Broncos, and Mother Nature because there was all kinds of weather that game. Wind, snow, rain, you name it. It was there. But a lot of people will be seeing the Patriots only putting up 10 points and about to go against this top-tier Seahawks defense and go, well, this should be an easy Seahawks victory, no? You would be right on the no part because it's not that simple. There's a whole lot more to it than that. First of all, like I said, it was a heavy weather game, and, teams aren't usually accustomed to putting up big numbers on the scoreboard when there's a lot of rain, snow, and wind. Especially up there in Mile High where the oxygen levels are lower, on top of the fact that New England was facing another top 3 defense in the NFL. And that's another thing I wanted to touch on. The Patriots have only faced top 5 defenses in the NFL. First they had the Chargers, then they faced the Texans, then they just beat the Broncos, and now they got Seattle. They are literally taking down some of the best opponents you can throw at them. Although the biggest drawback is that the Patriots' offense hasn't looked super clean over the past few weeks. You, of course, can attribute that to the fact that they're taking on the best defenses in the NFL, but because you're taking on another top-tier defense, that's something you got to keep in mind. Because if you were struggling against everyone else, how's it going to be any different with the Seahawks? And it's usually a turnover thing, mostly because the Patriots' O-line isn't the greatest, so Drake May is usually getting fucked up back there. So that's the source of, their turnover problem, or at least in the postseason. And speaking of mediocre O-line, that O-line allowed Drake May to get sacked 15 times throughout the postseason. Literally a 5-piece combo for each of the 3 games they played in. Luckily, as good as the Seahawks defense is, pass rushing hasn't really been their strong suit as of lately, but we will get into that shortly. And speaking of sacks, the Patriots themselves are really good at bringing down the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage, as they have done it 11 times this postseason. And that brings us to the Patriots defense, which, for what they are, is great. They're doing much better than I thought they would be this season. Granted, they aren't taking on any elite offenses or anything, but I don't think the Seahawks are quite an elite offense, so that should definitely be within their grounds to stop, just as they've stopped the Chargers, Texans, and Broncos. And just from an overall scoring perspective, the Patriots defense have done their job. They've done everything just as perfectly as you could possibly ask for. The most points allowed on that defense in a game this playoffs were by the Texans with only 16 points, with the Broncos only scoring 7 and the Chargers 3. So that alone makes the Patriots defense look more ruthless and secure than the Seahawks. As for turnover differential in the playoffs, the Patriots have given the ball away 5 times, but they've taken the ball away 8 times. So essentially, the New England Patriots defense forces more mistakes on their opponents than what's forced on their offense. If the Patriots offense fucks up, the defense is there to rebound, as they should. And they've been surprisingly consistent with that pattern. Now moving over to the NFC champions, the Seattle Seahawks, they took down the Rams in a 31-27 victory, winning that game in a pretty opposite fashion from when the Patriots beat the Broncos, which was a defensive match. This one was more offensive. It was personally surprising to me with how efficiently the Seahawks were moving down the field against the Rams. And I'm not sure whether to attribute that to the Seahawks offense actually being nice like that, or the Rams defense just not being as good as I remember it being. But regardless, Sam Darnold had a damn near 350-yard passing game, with JSN receiving for over 150 yards. So they simply earned that win. Can't take nothing away from them there. However, it's kind of hard to, gauge the Seahawks skill level here in the postseason, especially compared to the Patriots, because with that 49er game, I just can't really take a whole lot away from it, because that game was literally like fighting somebody with a cast and crutches. There would have to be something seriously wrong with you to not win that game. Not saying the Seahawks didn't earn that win or anything, I'm just saying I really can't take a whole lot away from the divisional round for Seattle. I do think their offense is overall pretty mediocre, nothing super special about it. They do have some skilled players, but again, as an overall offense, you got Kenneth Walker and JSN. Everyone else is like on some good enough shit. But I won't take shit away from their defense, because their defense is absolutely exceptional. Pretty toxic for my liking, if I'm being honest, but as far as performance on the field, they are pretty damn solid. But is that supposed to scare the Patriots? Because they've taken on nothing but very solid defenses throughout the entire playoffs. But there are still some concerns for that Seattle defense, because even though they made quite a few key stops against LA, on paper, Matthew Stafford was still slicing them up, allowing 365 yards to Stafford, 1 yard for each day of the goddamn year, and only 3 sacks in their 2 playoff games, 1 on Stafford and only 2 on that awful 49ers O-line. And that goes back to what I said earlier about how the Seahawks pass rush isn't as strong as you might expect it to be for a number 1 scoring defense. They can absolutely get to the quarterback, but again, it's just not their specialty, is what I'm saying. But let's assume the Seahawks defense could stop the Patriots over and over again. You gotta worry about the Patriots defense, which has been phenomenal throughout the postseason. Like, why should I believe the Seahawks are going to cut up the Patriots defense and do something that none of these other 3 teams have done? Essentially, this game is going to come down to the Seahawks offense versus the Patriots defense, because I can kind of predict how things will go on the other side of the ball. But with this side, how will a manageable offense that's been doing better than usual do against a manageable defense that's been doing better than usual? That's kind of the biggest question for me. Essentially, these 2 teams have ruthless defenses going against shaky or just straight up mediocre offenses. But at the end of the day, I see this being a very, very tight game. Not like some of these fucking smooth-brained weirdos that think this is going to be a Seahawks blowout for whatever reason, because the Patriots scored 10 points in the AFC Championship. I swear to God, these Seahawks fans just fucking disregard anything that hinders their opponent, whether it be injuries, weather. Like, goddamn, is there no such thing as sabotages, guys? As far as my predictions, I picked the Patriots for all 3 of their games, and obviously I got all 3 of them right. So I'm 3-0 with the Patriots. but I went against the Seahawks twice, and I was wrong twice. So this is a very interesting predicament here. The Seahawks essentially proved me wrong by being here, and the Patriots proved me right by being here. Because I had all sorts of faith in the Patriots from week 1, and I really had no type of faith in the Seahawks in week 1. Speaking of which, this is the first Super Bowl where both teams lost in week 1 because, well, let's be honest, they both looked horrible in week 1 this year. So massive props to both teams. They deserve to be here, and I just hope they put on one hell of a show for the final game of the year. But as for who I think will win this game, I gotta go with the Patriots. I am picking the Patriots to win Super Bowl 60. Dude, you're going against the Seahawks again? Yes, motherfucker. What do you want me to do? Lie? I don't feel good picking them. I just don't. If there's a creepy guy following you and he's giving you the sideways stare and has a very awkward smile, are you gonna trust that? No. Same thing here. I don't trust the Seahawks. I just naturally, instinctively don't see them winning the Super Bowl. But jokes aside, with all this in mind, there's one more key reason why I feel like New England is the slightly better team here, or at the very least, the team that should come away with this win. It is a very, very crucial role in any sport that often gets overlooked. Consistency. I know what an inconsistent Seattle Seahawks team looks like. I've seen it a few times this season, but I can't say the same with the Patriots. They have been consistent. That's why they're here. They're not an explosive, elite, flashy team or anything, but they are consistently getting the job done. With the exception of week 1, there's really no point in the season where the Patriots look bad. At least not the defense. The defense especially has been consistent for this New England team. And with the Seahawks, is just looking at those last few games in December, it's like, how were those games that close? They just struggled to take off. And there have been one too many times where either the offense or the defense just doesn't look like its prime self. And one more time, I'm excluding the divisional round. I'm not going to say it again. I can't fucking give you full credit for that game. Anyone can beat on a crippled team. It's just been a dicey past 2 months for the Seattle Seahawks, in my eyes anyway. And then again, looking over at the Patriots, I don't see the same thing. I just see a much more consistent, straightforward team just doing them. And if one side of the ball for New England starts to fold a little bit, then the other side steps up. That's just how they've been throughout the season, really. So with that said, yeah, I'm settling down with New England to get their 7th Super Bowl. But yeah, it's been one hell of a season. It's been a fun ride. Thank y'all for tuning into the series. And a big thank you to everyone who helped me reach my 1,000 subscriber goal, which we just cracked yesterday. I'm very thankful, and I'm gonna try and keep the ball rolling. I had fun with all this, and I hope y'all did as well. Later, folks. If the Seahawks fail at the 1-yard line again, then they better go fucking rebrand or something. Anything to scrub the league clean of your disgracement.
Clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal. Malcolm Butler